When we think about powerful women in history, names like Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, or Queen Elizabeth often come to mind. But centuries before any of them were born, the Bible tells the story of a woman who led an entire nation during one of its darkest moments. Her name was Deborah. Unlike queens who inherited their thrones or warriors who commanded armies from childhood, Deborah's authority came from something far less visible: wisdom, faith, and the trust of her people. Yet what makes her story truly extraordinary is not simply that she was a leader. It is that she became one in a world where female leadership was almost unheard of. To understand why Deborah's story is so remarkable, we first need to step back nearly 3,000 years into the world of ancient Israel. Life in the ancient Near East was harsh. Most families survived by farming small plots of land, raising sheep and goats, or trading simple goods in nearby villages. Every day revolved around survival. Water had to be collected, bread had to be baked by hand, fields needed constant attention. There were no hospitals, no police, no modern governments. Communities depended on family, tribal leaders, and religious traditions. Women carried enormous responsibilities within the household. They prepared food, cared for children, produced clothing by spinning wool and weaving fabric, managed food supplies, and often helped with farming during harvest seasons. Archaeologists have uncovered spindle whorls, weaving weights, grinding stones, and cooking vessels in thousands of homes throughout ancient Israel, reminding us that much of daily life depended on women's work. Although their contributions were essential, women rarely occupied positions of political authority. Most public leadership belonged to men. Kings ruled kingdoms, military commanders led armies, village elders settled disputes. This was the world into which Deborah emerged, and that is exactly what makes her so unusual. The Bible introduces Deborah with only a single sentence, yet every word carries significance. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidot, was judging Israel at that time. 3 titles immediately stand out. She was a wife, she was a prophetess, she was a judge. Each role carried enormous responsibility. Being a prophet did not simply mean predicting the future. In the Bible, prophets served as messengers between God and the people. They warned nations, encouraged leaders, confronted injustice, and called people back to faithfulness. Many famous prophets were men, including Moses, Samuel, Elijah, Isaiah, and Jeremiah. But Deborah belonged to a much smaller group. She was one of the few women in Scripture specifically called a prophetess. Her voice carried spiritual authority. People believed that when Deborah spoke God's message, they were hearing divine guidance rather than personal opinion. Her second role was equally remarkable. She served as a judge. Today, we imagine judges wearing robes inside courtrooms. Ancient Israel was completely different. Judges acted as leaders, advisors, mediators, and sometimes military commanders. People traveled long distances seeking justice. Imagine 2 families arguing over farmland after a drought, or shepherds disputing ownership of a flock, or neighbors disagreeing about damaged property. Instead of hiring lawyers, they would bring their cases before someone they trusted. That someone was Deborah. The Bible says she sat beneath a palm tree between Ramah and Bethel. The location eventually became known simply as the Palm of Deborah. It was not a palace, not a government building, not a temple. just a tree. Yet beneath its branches, people found wisdom, fairness, and hope. It is a powerful image. Leadership does not always require magnificent buildings. Sometimes it begins with one trustworthy person willing to listen. Many historians believe Deborah's reputation must have grown over many years. The Bible gives no dramatic account of her appointment. There is no ceremony, no election, no coronation. The people simply accepted her leadership. That tells us something important. Respect cannot always be demanded. Sometimes it must be earned. Generation after generation, communities remember those whose decisions are fair. Perhaps that's exactly how Deborah became known throughout Israel. Long before she ever led the nation into victory, she had already become a symbol of justice. One question has fascinated scholars for centuries. Why did Israel accept a woman as its national judge? The Bible never treats Deborah as a curiosity. It never apologizes for her leadership. It simply presents her as the right person for the right moment. Some scholars suggest this reveals an important biblical principle. God often chooses leaders not based on social expectations, wealth, or status, but on character. Throughout the Bible, unexpected people repeatedly become central figures. A shepherd defeats a giant. A young shepherd becomes king. A foreign widow becomes part of the family line of David. Simple fishermen change the world. And here, a woman sitting beneath a palm tree becomes the leader of an entire nation. Perhaps that's one of the reasons Deborah's story continues to inspire people today. She reminds us that true leadership begins long before anyone notices it. It grows quietly through wisdom, integrity, and the courage to do what is right, even when no one is watching. And soon, those quiet years beneath the palm tree would be interrupted by a crisis that threatened the future of Israel itself. For years, Deborah listened to the concerns of her people beneath the shade of a palm tree. She settled disputes, offered wisdom, and spoke as a prophetess. But there comes a moment in every great leader's life when words alone are no longer enough. That moment had arrived. Israel had lived under the oppression of King Jabin of Canaan for 20 years. His kingdom was centered in Hazor, one of the most powerful cities in the region. Archaeologists have uncovered massive fortifications, temples, and royal buildings there, confirming that Hazor was far more than an ordinary city. It controlled important trade routes and possessed enormous wealth. Yet, the greatest threat was not King Jabin himself. It was his military commander, Sisera. The Bible tells us that Sisera commanded 900 iron chariots. To modern readers, this may sound like a simple historical detail. In reality, it represented one of the most advanced military technologies of the ancient world. Imagine facing an army equipped with tanks while your own soldiers carried little more than swords and spears. That comparison may not be perfect, but it helps us understand the overwhelming advantage Sisera possessed. His iron chariots could charge across open ground, scattering enemy forces before they even came close enough to fight. For 20 years, no one had been able to stop him, until Deborah. One day, Deborah sent for Barak, a respected warrior from the tribe of Naphtali. When he arrived, she delivered an astonishing message. According to the book of Judges, God had commanded Barak to gather 10,000 men and march toward Mount Tabor. There, the Lord would draw Sisera and his army to the Kishon River and deliver them into Israel's hands. From a military perspective, this sounded almost impossible. Barak's men would be outnumbered and poorly equipped. Sisera possessed professional soldiers and iron chariots. The odds heavily favored Canaan. Barak hesitated. His answer has puzzled readers for generations. If you go with me, I will go. But if you do not go with me, I will not go. Some people see fear in his words. Others believe Barak simply recognized Deborah's unique spiritual authority. Either way, one thing becomes clear. He trusted Deborah more than he trusted his own military experience. Deborah agreed to accompany him, but she also made an unexpected prediction. The honor will not be yours, for the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. At first, most people would naturally assume she was referring to herself. After all, Deborah was already leading Israel. She was already the nation's judge. She was already guiding the military campaign. But history had another surprise waiting. As Barak assembled 10,000 warriors, Sisera prepared for battle. Confident in his superior weapons, he marched toward the Kishon River with all 900 chariots. Everything seemed to favor the Canaanite army. Then, something extraordinary happened. The Bible describes the battle only briefly, but Judges chapter 5, known as the Song of Deborah, offers poetic clues. It says, "The stars fought from heaven. The river Kishon swept them away." For centuries, historians have debated the meaning of these verses. Many believe they describe a sudden, violent storm. This theory makes remarkable sense. The Jezreel Valley is known even today for heavy seasonal rains. A powerful downpour can quickly transform hard ground into deep mud. If Sisera's chariots became trapped in the mud, the greatest military advantage of the Canaanite army would instantly disappear. Heavy iron wheels that once inspired terror would suddenly become useless. Meanwhile, Israel's soldiers fighting on foot could move far more easily across difficult terrain. Whether through extraordinary weather or another act of divine intervention, the result was unmistakable. Sisera's army collapsed. The Israelites overwhelmed their enemy. The commander who had once seemed unstoppable abandoned his chariot and fled on foot. Imagine the symbolism of that moment. For 20 years, people had feared the thunder of iron chariot wheels. Now their commander was running alone, leaving behind the very weapon that had made him famous. The mighty warrior had become a fugitive. As Barak pursued the defeated army, Sisera searched desperately for somewhere to hide. Eventually, he arrived at the tent of a woman named Jael. At first glance, Jael appears to be a minor character. She is mentioned only briefly. Yet, within a few verses, she would become one of the most unforgettable women in the entire Bible. Her husband Heber the Kenite maintained peaceful relations with King Jabin. For Sisera, this seemed like the perfect place to seek refuge. Jael welcomed him inside. He asked for water. Instead, she gave him milk. She covered him with a blanket. She reassured him that no one would find him there. Completely exhausted, Sisera finally fell asleep. For the first time that day, the commander of Canaan's army allowed himself to believe he was safe. But Deborah's prophecy was about to unfold in a way that no one, not Barak, not Sisera, and perhaps not even Deborah herself, could have imagined. As Sisera slept soundly inside Jael's tent, he believed the worst was over. The battlefield was behind him. His soldiers had been defeated. His famous iron chariot had been abandoned somewhere in the mud. Now, hidden inside what seemed to be a friendly home, he thought he had escaped. But history often changes in the quietest moments. The Bible tells us that Jael quietly picked up 2 ordinary household tools, a tent peg and a hammer. For nomadic families, these were common objects used every day to secure tents against the wind. No soldier would have considered them weapons. Moving carefully so she would not wake him, Jael approached the sleeping commander. Then, with one decisive blow, she drove the tent peg through Sisera's temple. The man who had terrified Israel for 20 years died not on the battlefield surrounded by soldiers, but alone inside a simple tent. It was an unexpected ending for one of the most powerful military leaders of his generation. Not long afterward, Barak arrived while pursuing Sisera. Jael stepped outside and calmly said, "Come, and I will show you the man you are looking for." Barak entered the tent and found Sisera lying dead on the ground. At that moment, Deborah's prophecy had been fulfilled. The Lord will deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. Many people assume Deborah herself was the woman mentioned in the prophecy, but the biblical account makes something remarkable clear. Two women played different yet equally important roles in Israel's victory. Deborah provided the vision. Jael brought the final victory. Neither acted alone. Together, they changed the future of an entire nation. After Sisera's defeat, the power of King Jabin began to collapse. The book of Judges explains that the Israelites grew stronger and stronger until Jabin himself was finally destroyed. For the first time in 2 decades, Israel experienced freedom. But Deborah understood something that many leaders overlook. Victories fade from memory unless they are remembered. Instead of building monuments or celebrating herself, Deborah composed a song. Known today as the Song of Deborah, recorded in Judges chapter 5, it is considered by many biblical scholars to be one of the oldest surviving poems in the entire Bible. Some researchers believe parts of the song may have been written very close to the events themselves, making it one of the earliest pieces of Hebrew literature. The song does far more than celebrate military success. It praises courage. It honors those who willingly answer the call to defend their people. It also remembers those who refuse to help, reminding future generations that moments of crisis reveal the true character of both individuals and communities. Perhaps most importantly, Deborah made sure that Jael's courage would never be forgotten. She declared, "Most blessed of women be Jael." For thousands of years, those words have remained part of the biblical record. Deborah's leadership continues to surprise historians. In much of the ancient Near East, women could hold influence within families, royal courts, or religious ceremonies, but leading an entire nation was extraordinarily rare. Yet the Bible never presents Deborah as an accident or an exception that needed explanation. Instead, it portrays her as the leader Israel needed at exactly the right moment. Her authority was never based on physical strength. It came from wisdom, integrity, faith, and the confidence people placed in her judgment. Perhaps that is why Deborah's story has inspired generations of readers from many different cultures and backgrounds. She reminds us that true leadership is not defined by gender, wealth, or status. It begins with character. Archaeology has also helped us better understand the world in which Deborah lived. Excavations at Hazor have uncovered massive city gates, palace complexes, temples, and layers of destruction dating to the late Bronze and early Iron Ages. These discoveries confirm that Hazor was one of the greatest cities in ancient Canaan. The Kishon River still flows today through the Jezreel Valley. Even now, seasonal storms can quickly flood parts of the valley, turning firm ground into thick mud. Although archaeology cannot prove every detail described in the book of Judges, it helps explain why a sudden storm could have transformed the battlefield and neutralized Sisera's famous chariots. For historians, Deborah's story is an important window into one of Israel's earliest periods. For people of faith, it is a testimony to God's guidance during a time of national crisis. And for anyone interested in remarkable women from history, Deborah stands among the most extraordinary female leaders of the ancient world. The book of Judges ends Deborah's story with a simple but unforgettable sentence: "And the land had peace for 40 years." 40 years, an entire generation grew up without the fear that had once controlled their lives. Deborah never became a queen. She never ruled from a palace. She never sought wealth or fame. Yet more than 3,000 years later, her name is still remembered. Not because she conquered kingdoms, not because she built monuments, but because she listened when others doubted. She stood firm when others were afraid, and when her people needed hope, she had the courage to lead. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson Deborah leaves us. History is not always changed by the loudest voices or the strongest armies. Sometimes it is changed by one person whose wisdom inspires others to believe that a better future is possible.